and it's the most severe winter storm in years, which would seem to contradict Al Gore's hysterical global warming theory.
Former Vice President Al Gore is renewing his vows, not with Tipper. No, Gore will renew his vows with his one true love, the global warming hoax.
As Al Gore and his claims continue to be proven false and he continues to be discovered to be a snake oil salesman, scientists are now beginning to call him and all other global warming alarmists liars.
The climate Bigfoot himself, Al Gore.
Poor Al Gore. Where is he? Has anyone? We should get a camera outside his house. Is he home? Is he worried about this? Is he seeing his book collecting snow outside Fox? It's unbelievable.
Despite an apparently widely held belief otherwise, climate change does not become true or false based on Al Gore. It takes evidence for that, scientific evidence, and Al Gore is not a scientist. A similarly inept fact many don't seem to understand is that the convergence of evidence on climate change occurred well before Al Gore's book or movies. He didn't invent it. Nobel Prize-winning Swedish scientist Svante was a physicist and chemist who lived from 1858 to 1927. He published a scientific paper at the tail end of the 19th century explaining the ice ages and the role carbon dioxide had in them. He even did basic calculations to estimate to what degree increases in atmospheric carbon dioxide would lead to increases in temperature. This is what would later be known as the greenhouse effect. His findings were verified and expanded by further scientific research, including that of G.M.B. Dobson and G.S. Gallagher in 1938, Plass and Gilbert in 55, Plass in 56, Revel and Swess in 57, Plass 58, Kaplan 59, Manabe and Weatherald 67, Peterson, the scientist, not the psychology charlatan, 69, Keeling 70, Sawyer 72, Bays, Geller, Olson, and Roddy 77. This was nowhere near an exhaustive list, just a sample of the scientific output regarding anthropogenic climate change in the earlier years. Many of us have heard the completely baseless claim from a denialist, friend, or relative that the climate scientists keep changing their claim, that they used to predict heating, now cooling, or vice versa. You may even have seen a certain picture floating around the internet claiming as much. These claims more profoundly misrepresent reality than the information-deprived, scientifically illiterate masses that repeat and share this misinformation seem to be capable of understanding. As Arrhenius and the sizable list of studies already mentioned indicate, there were clearly many papers and scientists supporting existing and future warming. But to make the answer as unambiguous as possible, Peterson, Connolly, and Fleck in the September 2008 issue of the American Meteorological Society documented that from 1965 through 1979, only 7 peer-reviewed papers predicted cooling, 20 were neutral, and 44 supported and predicted warming. Further disproving any recent scientific flip-flops, it is also worth noting that the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change was formed in 1988 and published their first report in 1990, laying out their consistent evidence-based claims on global warming. Climate change was in their name since they started, so one can hardly say they stopped using global warming because their claims didn't pan out. Obviously, because they didn't stop using global warming. Thus, the vast majority of climatologists since the 60s have supported climate change, and they have not flip-flopped. The stories claiming they have reversed positions all either dishonestly use scientists from the minority to speak for the majority colleagues who disagree, or they use layman misinterpretations of scientific papers.